Hello, my name is Ben,
And my name is Josh.
and welcome back to FPL Graduates. Now, game week 2, we didn't think that it could top game week 1, but I mean, it was pretty close, wasn't it?
It was a great game week. I think, to be honest, at the start of it, I was like, oh, it's just not going to be as good. But then the boys on Monday, they picked it up. Antonio and Ben Rama, what a performance from those two.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Less than, what was it, 5% of players had both in their team. I think it's something like 2% of players had both of them in their team. And if you got them, huge rank rises. And I mean, me and you, we'll see who we had in that game. But potential big rank rises for a lot of people in there.
Yeah, it was really good to see. We'll get straight into it. My voice is dying. I don't know if you can already tell. So we'll let Ben go first and have his team and show us how many points he got.
Yeah, so this is my team for this week. And as you can see, 80 points I finished up on. A very, very solid week. I went from, I think I was around 600k to around 200k. So the rank rises and falls are really big in this early part of the season. And then we'll see, how it settles down and where we sort of end up. But it's a very good start again. In goal, Melier, 6 saves. I mean, the points are coming, I think, with Melier. It's just when who is it that's injured, Josh, in that Leeds defence right now?
Lorente should be back this weekend, hopefully.
That's the guy that I'm waiting for to be back in. I think Leeds will start picking up clean sheets. We saw this last season. They didn't pick up many clean sheets at the start, and then they started picking them up as they went through. And Melier will pick up loads of save points. He got 2 in this game. I mean, if they don't concede, the penalty or whatever, he could have been on for a mega haul for a keeper. So I'm not too disheartened by him because the rest of my team did pretty well, as you can see in defence. Alexander-Arnold and Tsimikas. I mean, wow, what a performance from both of them. Tsimikas could have had like 2 assists and a goal. Ridiculous for a 4 million asset. And we're paying, the rewards are coming out. We can sell them now for a profit and everything's all happy. Trent Alexander-Arnold produced the most chances from crosses this week. Could have had a whole host more assists, goals. He had a couple of shots here and there as well. So I'm really happy with him. Luke Shaw somehow picking up 2 bonus points. It was not sure where he's got that from, but he played pretty well overall. And I think you've got to probably hold on to him at this point. He will return in fixtures, and he will return in ones you don't think he's going to return in. We saw him at City away last year. Unbelievable result from him. So I think he could do all right. I'm holding onto him for now. In midfield now, Ben Rama. What a pick he has been so far. I anticipate him going up potentially another 0.1 before the game week 3 deadline. He was unbelievable, wasn't he? And he's this season's really low price Jesse Lingard. He's playing unbelievably. His ceiling is really, really high. Really, really happy with having him in. As a differential for the past 2 weeks, he won't be a differential now because what an unbelievable player he has turned out to be. Mo Salah turned out to be the best captain choice out of him and Bruno. Of course, we got 4 double-digit returns this week, 7 returns overall, and Salah wasn't one of them, which happens. Can't get too disheartened because everyone either captain Salah or Bruno, and we come away with more points, so we've got to be happy with that. Mahrez off the bench with 6 points, and it gives me a bit of promise. I know people probably sell him, but it's promising because it shows, just like what Pep did last season, he rested Raheem Sterling for those smaller games and played him in the bigger ones. I anticipate seeing Mahrez in a lot more important games in the Premier League for City. So I expect him to play a little bit more going into these next games against Arsenal or what have you. Rafinha, again, what a boy. Very exciting to watch. What a great goal. Can't ask for anything more from him. And Bruno, the 1-pointer, he stunk it up a bit against Southampton, but it's going to happen throughout the season. We just got to deal with it and move on. And then up front, Antonio, the world's best striker. Wow, couldn't believe it. I mean, as soon as Leicester went down to 10 men, you knew Antonio was hauling. And Ivan Toney, I can see that, it's frustrating at the moment, but those returns are coming, in my opinion. He had 5 shots inside the box against, Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
So the chances are coming for him. He's on penalties. He'll be scoring some points for us very soon, I'm sure. And then on the bench, a lot of no-shows on the bench, I think it's fair to say. Target, White and Obafemi. And I have already transferred one of those lads out, so just to avoid the price falls, what have you. But what do you make of that, Josh? Some good decisions in there?
Yeah, I think you scored a little bit higher than me this week. Really jealous of the Rafinha pick. If I could have anyone out of your team, it'd be him right now. I knew he'd return, and especially with the news that we've had today that players aren't going to be going away to play for their national teams due to the quarantine rules, he becomes a lot safer now. And at 6.5 million, I think a lot of people will bring him in when Ben Rama maybe drops down in form, because let's be real, he's not going to be able to keep up this form for the rest of the season. Rafinha will be that guy that a lot of people move to. So yeah, Rafinha looks decent. Again, I agree with what you said about Tony. His underlying numbers are really, really good. So the returns will be coming soon. The only difficulty that Brentford have is they come into quite a tough run of fixtures soon. So he's going to have to score soon. Otherwise, it will be a lot harder for him. And the rest of your team is similar to mine. So I'll just go through mine now and see how many points that I got. So 77 this week for me. I'm up. Well, I say I'm up. It's actually a red arrow to down to 30k, which is kind of mind-boggling. So from 11k to 30k this week. Meslier in goal, as Ben mentioned, 6 saves. If he gets 6 saves and a clean sheet, that is guaranteed 3 bonus points. So I'm more than happy with that. We know he's there for the saves. I'm sure the clean sheets will come. Trent, Smikas, Ben covered it really well. Both really good. Smikas, we've got profit on now, so I'm more than happy to sell him. Whether I do it this week or maybe after in the international break, wait to be seen. Sure, 2 bonus points. That's why he's in there. He creates chances. That's why he got those bonus points. Nothing really happened in the game, bonus points wise. So Shaw's always going to be in and amongst them. So for him to get 2, that was absolutely massive. Ayling in there. I didn't really want the double Leeds defense against Everton, but it was just sort of a force because I didn't want to make the transfer with Veltman. Realistically, I probably should have, but I didn't know he'd be out until like the 11th of September or something that it says now. So yeah, not too bothered either way. He scored last week. He's not going to get a return every week. I do not expect that from Ayling. Salah captaincy blank. I don't know how, but he did. Really gutting. When that offside goal went in, I was cheering and then got pulled back. I was fuming. Bruno Fernandes, 1-pointer, buzzing with it, which is crazy to say, but if he got any returns, it would have massively hurt me in terms of rank. So I'm happy with that. Disappointed with Son. He's probably the biggest disappointment of the week, just because Wolves was a good fixture. They got a penalty, and then for some reason Dele Alli takes it. Why? Why are you taking that penalty off him? I was absolutely fuming when I saw that. So disappointed. Also, he got picked up that hamstring injury in the warm-up, so that might have affected why he didn't take the penalty. He seems to be okay now. He's training in today, so he's running with Lucas Moura, so he seems okay. Hopefully he's fit for this week, because this is the main game that I wanted him for all along. Benrahma and Antonio, watching it better in person. Oh my gosh, they were so good. I was cheering like a West Ham fan at the game when they were scoring. It was so good. Really good performance from them too. Antonio generally is so underpriced. Like, if DCL and Danny Ings at 8 million, this guy's 8.5, 9 million when he's fit. He's so good. Again, it's just a question that he has to stay fit, because West Ham really do need him. Danny Ings, 8 points. Good performance. What a goal as well, by the way. Nice little overhead kick. That should be worth an extra point, surely. And Tyrone Mings with 2 assists in that game is absolutely bonkers. On the bench, nothing really to talk about. As I mentioned, Veltman earlier, he's actually out of my team now. So I've made a transfer already. Only one, though. And then Billy Gilmore is actually a better captaincy option this week than Bruno Fernandes. Who would have thought?
Yeah, absolutely crazy. And yeah, I mean, it's not ideal that you had to double up on the Leeds defence. I think that's probably an issue that you might want to look at just while the Leeds are conceding the goals recently. Obviously, you've got to keep an eye on Heung-min Son. Didn't look comfortable come the end of the game. I think that's fair to say. So definitely one to keep an eye on. But yeah, what a fantastic week for returns again. If you pick the captaincy right, you're looking at another, potential creeping up to 100 points this week.
Yeah, it's been crazy 2 weeks of football. I think it's mainly because the West Ham boys, they're just like double returns, both game weeks. It's been absolutely insane to have both of them. Obviously, it's not going to be as good now because everyone's cottoned onto them. So, like, I expect Antonio to easily be over 100% effective ownership this week, which is, I don't think I've ever seen someone priced around his price be that sort of effective ownership. I don't know about you.
Maybe you could argue Lingard back end of last season, but even then he wasn't as high owned. He was 79, 80% this week around the top 10k, which is very, very high. And yeah, I think he will be around about that much. But since you started talking about it, transfers, you have taken out Joel Veltman. Who have you bring in? Why have you made the decision that you've made already?
Yeah, so I tweeted it out when I did it. Shane Duffy's come in. It was before Duffy rose in price, so hence why I did it, because he's £4 million, so I didn't really want to pay that 4.1. Veltman I knew wouldn't be back until I think it's the 11th of September. And I really wanted a Brighton defender because I missed out on those points this week. I saw a rank drop of about 40,000 places just because of Brighton clean sheet, which was really frustrating. So yeah, Duffy comes in. His attacking threat is phenomenal. In terms of defenders, he's up there in terms of expected goals alongside Tarkowski, who has been up there since game week 1. So I'm really, really excited owning him, because not only do you get that Brighton defense, you also get his attacking threat. He's almost like they seem to target him more than Dunk from set pieces, which is really interesting because he's obviously $1 million cheaper than Dunk. Can't see him getting dropped right now, even if Veltman comes back into the team, because he's playing phenomenal. So yeah, that's my transfer this week. And you said you've made one. Which one's yours?
Yeah, so my transfer has been to get out Matt Target before he dropped in price to 4.9 as he did last night. I made the transfer at the same time as you, I think, and I brought in Reguilon. I know the defensive, on paper, you look at the scores, you think, Tottenham, they've won a couple of clean sheets. Haven't been the best defensively, but I expect them to improve massively. And the fact that they've managed to keep the 2 clean sheets whilst not really defending so well, I expect them to improve. And with a couple of nice fixtures coming up, you got Watford and Crystal Palace, then a couple of difficult ones, followed by Villa and Newcastle. I think for the long term, he's kind of a good option to have, or even the medium term. 5 million. Again, Reguilon was due to rise tonight, so I brought him in. And the other decision I've got to make is whether I hold that transfer, for the international break, or I do it now. But since it's looking like Smikas isn't going to drop anytime soon, I'm kind of happy to just keep it as it is at the moment. But yeah, I wanted to get a Tottenham boy in for that Watford game. I know, Ismail Assar, as much as he's a really good player for Watford, on that side that Reguilon's playing, he didn't impact the game in the second half against Aston Villa when Ashley Young was there. And who else have they played?
They played Brighton last week. Yeah,
Brighton. He didn't do much in that game either, and that was against who plays left back for Brighton?
I think Pascal Gross.
There you go. So I'm pretty happy to have Reguilon in there because he's looked solid both times he's played, and he's kind of passed the eye test for me.
Yeah, I really like that transfer from you. I told Sophia, my girlfriend, to get Reguilon in, so she's already picked up those clean sheet points already this season with Reguilon. I think Spurs defensively will be a lot better because they have Nuno as their coach, who historically has been a great defensive coach. So for me, I'm looking at Spurs defensively for my other transfer. Whether I make it this week or not remains to be seen. You obviously have another free transfer. Are you using it this week? Or are you planning to bank it into the?
I'm kind of keeping an eye on Smikas and is when he's gonna fall basically back down to 4.1 because I'm expecting that when he doesn't play against Chelsea.
Yeah.
But for now, I'll probably hold it because the transfer I'd make will probably be to Livramento of Southampton. And I'm looking here, he's rising, but not at a rapid rate. So it kind of gives me a little bit of time. I'm hoping I don't have to make it. But if it comes to it and it's looking like price is going to rise or fall, I'll pull the trigger on that transfer.
Yeah, it's good for you because you don't really have any injury concerns. So that's probably the main transfer you might have to make this season. So yeah, not too bad. It's been a decent week, I think, for everyone who's picked the main players. Like, as long as you had some form of West Ham assets and as well as those Liverpool defenders, I think you've done relatively well this week. So we're going to move on and talk about one man that neither of us have in our teams, and that's Romelu Lukaku. So he played his first game this week, and he bullied Arsenal defence, didn't he, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to come up against probably two worst defenders in a long time, if I'm being completely honest. And yeah, a bit concerning for the people like me with Ben White on the bench, but I think he only improves that defence. Arsenal's defensive numbers looked decent without that centre back partnership that played in against Chelsea. So yeah, I think Lukaku this season is going to have a really, really good year, and I think he's going to be one that people are going to have to look to bring in game week 7 or 8 for sure.
Yeah, so I did promise everyone who was on TikTok/Instagram that I'd make a draft, because a lot of people are like, should I take Salah out? Should I take Bruno out? Well, you can make a draft with Bruno, with Salah, with Trent, with Benrahma, with Antonio. You'd say probably all 5 of those is just as essential. Maybe not right now, because for me, I'm in the same camp as Ben. I don't think Lukaku's really that feasible right now. He has Spurs, he has City, he has Liverpool in his next 4 game week. So he probably might pick up the odd goal, but he's definitely not going to be explosive like he was against Arsenal. He had 8 shots, I think, against Arsenal, which is insane. I do expect that to go down a lot, especially this weekend facing Van Dijk and Matip. They're a solid partnership. He probably will find it a lot harder to score. So we're going to go into a little bit of live tinkering, shall we say, for here. So for me personally, obviously, I'm not going to do this now, but if I was on a wild card, say come game week 6, Son would probably be the one who has to make way to free up those funds. Danny Ings obviously goes on a poor fixture run. So these 2 out, and we select replacements, find Lukaku wherever he is, there he is. And then we move into here. It says I've got 7 million left, but realistically, I've got 0.5 in the bank to upgrade Smikas up to a 4.5. So let's say 6.5 million in that regard. And then we'll bring in the one that I was jealous of in Ben's team, Rafinha in there. And then for me personally, I can get to Lukaku in just 2 free transfers. I wouldn't even have to wildcard realistically. Just moving Son out, moving Danny Ings out, getting Lukaku in and Rafinha in. So if you have a look at the whole team, you got Meslier in goal. If you want to save 0.5 and have Sanchez be my guest, Duffy in there as that 4 million placeholder. It could be again Livramento, you name it, whichever one you want. A 4.5 million defender, mine's Ayling at the minute. You got Trent in there. You've got again a 4.5 million defender if you want to go for Tanganga as another Spurs option that we've discussed. Luke Shaw's in there. Again, Reece James maybe from game week 6 onwards. He looked great against Arsenal. 4.5 million placeholder and Billy Gilmore. We got Salah, we got Bruno, we got Rafinha, we got Benrahma. What a midfield that is, by the way. And then up front, we've got Lukaku and Antonio with obviously a 4.5 million placeholder again. So you're not obviously that strong on the bench. You do have at least 2 playing players off the bench, though. Worst case scenario if you used to get injuries. But if you really want to go hard and go with those big 3 premiums, that is one way you could do it. What do you think about that, Ben?
Yeah, I think a very, very good team. One thing for everyone to be aware of, especially if you're going to look to transfer him in around that game week 7 time, I highly anticipate Lukaku's probably be nearer the 12 million mark. So when you're planning this, make sure that you anticipate where you can drop 0.5 on a player. So maybe Benrahma to a 5.5 like Smith Rowe or something when his form eventually runs out, or Rafinha down to someone like Benrahma, or one of the defenders that you've got, you could downgrade a little bit. You just got to know where just in case you need to downgrade. So you could still do it in 2 free transfers. It's just where you want to downgrade that little bit more.
Yeah, and I think it almost, if you're wildcarding game week 6, it is in your benefit that Lukaku's facing Liverpool, City, Spurs these weeks, because he shouldn't really, unless he does perform out of this world, he shouldn't really get too many returns. So therefore, his price probably won't go up as much. Like, he hasn't yet risen price to 11.6. So that in itself is really good. He's probably going up tonight.
Yeah, due tonight, I think.
Yeah, so exactly. So only 0.1. If you've got Smikas in your team, you've already made that 0.1. So yeah, it's decent at the minute with Lukaku, but like me and Ben said, I'd probably hold off until game week 6. It's not too long away. Trust me, it'll be like tomorrow by the time it comes around. So yeah, not too bad, but it's good to know that Lukaku isn't necessarily going to break the structure of your squad just by putting him in there.
Yeah, it's settles down hopefully a couple of your worries that you have about Lukaku, because for most teams really it's going to be one of those that you could get him in a couple of transfers at the worst case.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's go on and take a couple of questions. I've got the fixture ticker up just because really, so we can look at maybe some of the teams that have favourable fixtures. Now we've got through the first couple of game weeks.
Yeah, we first question here, which I think is a really interesting one. Adam Armstrong opinions, please. Now he's kind of he's shocked me a little bit into how well he's settled in, and he's created some good chances and some good scoring opportunities against some really high quality opposition, which I wasn't expecting to begin with, but he has done. And I think he is one of those enablers that could allow you to get Lukaku into your team.
Yeah, 100% agree. Against United, he probably should have scored. He was unlucky not to get an assist with that Shea Adams deflected goal for the own goal for Fred. So he's looking promising. And at 6 million, you're not expecting a return every week. Like whatever he gets is almost a bonus because you're bringing him in because you can't afford a player elsewhere, basically. So yeah, great option. £6 million. You can't really go wrong. I don't see his price going up yet either because obviously he hasn't really returned much. So yeah, he's one to keep an eye on for sure. Southampton's fixtures aren't the best, is one thing. They've got Newcastle this week, but when West Ham, City, Wolves, Chelsea, they're not great. So maybe again around that game week 6 wildcard, he becomes an option.
Yeah, another interesting one here. A player who I've been thinking of as a someone who could come in as a really interesting player, Damari Gray of Everton.
Yeah, looking at him pre-season because my draft initially it had I think Kane in it, so I needed that 5.5 million midfielder. It was between like Smith Rowe, then he came in, Townsend came in. It's going to be interesting to see how many minutes he gets. He obviously scored at the weekend. Townsend returned last week with an assist. He then got benched. So will we see a lot of rotation with Iwobi, Townsend, and Gray? Maybe. And also you got to bear with Gray because at Leverkusen, he popped off at the start. You think he got 3 goals in as many games, but he then proceeded to just dry out a bit. So yeah, he's good to look at. If he's like Ben Rama, consistently performing at a very high rate, I'd 100% get him in. But yeah, again, one for the watch list.
Interesting questions coming in. Let's have a look. Is Kyle Walker a safe option for Manchester City with Pep Roulette? I mean,
there isn't one.
there isn't a safe option, I don't think, in that City team. Let's see here. Who is the best captaincy option for this week? Now, this is wide open this week, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that because Antonio has gone and bagged 2 goals and got an assist, it's sort of just blown it wide open. I'm seeing a lot of people look towards Antonio as captaincy just through like, I don't know, comments, Twitter, a bit of everything really. Obviously you got the Bruno away at Wolves. I don't expect Bruno to blank in 2 weeks in a row. That would be a bit mad for his standards anyway. And then for me, I've got Son against Watford, whether he starts, whether he's fit. I expect him to be. So it's between those 3 for me. Who are you looking at?
In terms of my captaincy option at the moment, it's wide open for me because, Bruno doesn't have the best returns against Wolves. He's played 2 games against them. He's only got the 1 assist against them in those 2 games. First one was his debut, which was a 0-0, and then he got an assist. Can't remember when it was, but not the best record. But he's still stand out to me because of how he played in game week 1. In terms of other assets I'm looking at, I'm seriously considering Riyad Mahrez as my captaincy option this week against Arsenal. And the reasoning being is that I think he will play, and City look really good. Arsenal don't look very good at all at the moment. So I'm liking that as a captaincy option. Considering Antonio, but I know what it's like. Captain Antonio, he'll get injured after half an hour and come off. So that's what I'm concerned about. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to captain him. I'm happy with the West Ham double up. I think it'll probably be Bruno, Mahrez, outside chance of Salah, but that Chelsea team is really, really good and looks very solid at the moment as well.
Yeah, I think they're 0.6 expected goals conceded,
Yeah.
which is
I think
insane.
if you've yeah, I think if you've got Heung-min Son, you're kind of looking a lot better for captaincy options if he's fit, and I hope he is.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It might be a flip of the coin kind of one come Friday, but we will be live streaming on Friday with FPL Talk. James, if you know of him, you should do if you know of us. So make sure you come along. It should be around 7 o'clock on Friday. And tune in, see you with captaining.
Yeah, we've got another question. What 4 mil defender should I replace Smikas with? Livramento, Williams, or Duffy? You could probably add Brandon in there as well. I mean, to be honest, like I've been looking at when the price rise. Livramento's due to rise tomorrow, so it might be a bit earlier that I make my transfer than I first thought, which is a bit annoying, but we move. In terms of who I think, it's probably between Duffy and Livramento. Duffy for me has more chance to score inside the box with headers and that, but obviously don't come around too often. Whereas Livramento, I think he'll be more regular in assisting goals. He looked very lively against Manchester United, that's for sure. I'd lean towards Livramento, but I think Duffy's probably, safer for clean sheets. I don't know what you think, Josh.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward, to be honest. If you have a Brighton defender already, go with Livramento. If you don't have a Brighton defender already, go Duffy, because the 4 million player is basically just going to be on your bench most of the time. He shouldn't be starting a lot. We're not like Smikas, where you're going to start him every week because he plays for Liverpool. So Livramento looks decent, don't get me wrong, but are Southampton going to keep too many clean sheets? No. Same with Brandon Williams, like fair play if he gets starting at Norwich, but he's starting at Norwich, they're not going to keep that many clean sheets either. So yeah, Duffy as well has his cons where he's not going to be in the team probably for too long. I wouldn't expect when Dan Burn gets back, Lamptey gets back, Veltman gets back. So yeah, there's all cons to them, but I think longer term, Livramento should be probably the best pick.
Yeah, I'm thinking long term for me, which is why I'm probably leaning towards him a bit more. I don't think Duffy is, when everyone's fit, nailed. Whereas I think Livramento, he's like taking Kyle Walker-Peters' place at times, and even like Kyle Walker-Peters came on and he just moved to right wing. So
yeah.
Let's have a look. We'll take a couple more questions. Let's have a look here. James asks, shall I bring in Reguilon and Livramento for Ayling and White? I could probably answer that in the fact that I'm making those transfers myself, bringing in Reguilon and Livramento. So hopefully it's a good decision. I think, it's a risk with Reguilon in terms of the clean sheets. I get that. Tottenham haven't looked too good defensively, conceded some of the most chances in the league, but more crucially, they haven't conceded from them. And if they can only improve defensively, really, especially with Watford and Crystal Palace coming up. Don't expect them to concede, any goals really in those two. I know now they're going to concede in both of them, but I think both are good options. Would I transfer them for Ayling and White? I'm not too sure on that. I think you make those defensive transfers when you're unsure that your player's going to play. I think otherwise it's a waste of your defensive transfers. I don't know what you think, Josh.
Yeah, I think they're decent transfers, but I think Ayling and White, in their own respects, I know White's not going to be playing City, but the fixtures for Arsenal after City are fantastic. So look ahead for this will go for the most part for anyone who's looking at transfers. Check the fixtures out for the next 4 to 5 game weeks before you make the transfers, because say if they're playing City this week or whatever, bench them for 1 week and then bring them back in if they've got better fixtures. Like, you can just do your rotation manually instead of having to make transfers every time someone's facing a good team. Like Ayling, for example, he's facing Burnley this week. I don't expect Burnley to score 2+ goals against Leeds. So you're looking at least hopefully a 2-pointer for Ayling at the very worst case. So yeah, Reguilon again should probably keep a clean sheet against Watford, and then Livramento, who knows what Southampton are going to do.
Here's an interesting one from Callum. What game week should we think about wildcard? And I think for the majority, and what I'm considering as well, is when that, the Lukaku fixtures turn nice. I think is when everyone's kind
of
thinking.
Not even Chelsea anymore.
Lukaku fixtures. He's going to be the main asset for, every FPL player from the Chelsea team. So you got to talk about Lukaku then. I don't know what you think. Should it be around that time? Should it be a bit earlier, a bit later? What are we thinking?
Game week 6, 100%. Saying that though, seeing that I can go to Lukaku from 2 free transfers, it makes me want to do it less. The only thing that would persuade me is the City fixtures. They also turn pretty nice around that time. And I've gotten away without having a City asset so far this season because they're just so low owned because everyone's don't know who to pick. So they just sort of spread out between all the assets. So if there's one City asset that does become apparent, especially a defensive one, I will lean maybe towards wildcarding then. And likewise, Benrahma and Antonio could be playing bad by then because after game week 4, Europa League comes into effect. So we've got to bear that in mind as owners of these sort of assets. They're going to be playing Thursday, Sunday. Not going to be ideal for that that hamstring of Antonio. So yeah, a lot could change in that time, but definitely looking at after game week 6 in that international break.
Yeah, for sure. I think, to be honest, everyone will be looking at that. I don't think you should be playing your wild card now because we've got nothing to go off of, really. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for the game week review. If we haven't answered your question, make sure to give us a message, tweet us, Instagram us, send us a message on TikTok, wherever. We'll try and get back to you. It's been super busy in the DMs on Instagram. I haven't been able to get around to them yet from ages ago. So yeah, if you send us a tweet or whatever, we'll answer on there usually. But yeah, any last words, Josh?
No, like I said, Friday's live stream with James, FPL Talk. Make sure you come along. He's got great advice and knowledge as well. So it'd be great to hear what he's saying, especially about captaincy this week, because that's going to be a big question come Friday, is who is everyone going to be captaining? So make sure you come along to that. We'll be uploading TikToks as always and replying to comments on there. That's probably the best place to ask your questions, to be fair, is TikTok comments. We get back to them pretty sharpish. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming in, and I'll let Ben do the rest.
Yeah, as always, please like, comment, subscribe. Follow us everywhere. We're so close to 50k now on TikTok. And yeah, I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And we'll see you
later.